Welcome to the World of Overwatch panel.
What up, everybody? Hello, hello, hello. How's day 2 going? Did you guys have fun yesterday? It was pretty cool. Some of those reveals in the opening were awesome. Did you guys make it out to the Overwatch panel yesterday? Excellent. Are you guys hyped about Overwatch? Excellent. Guys, I am Chris Metzen. I'm the creative director on Overwatch. This is Michael Chu. Mike's one of the senior designers on the game, and Mike and I jam a lot of the story stuff out. Mike's written all the character VO, so give him props for that. At the end, we have William Petrus. People like to call him Bill. I like to call him William.
That's fine.
That's how we roll. Bill is the art director on Overwatch, and one of the primary visionary of the world of Overwatch. Kind of how the world feels, and just how the whole process of art comes together.
Very well.
Bill Petrus.
Hello, hello. Hi, everybody. So we're going to talk about some story and lore, and the first thing really is the Overwatch world itself is one of the biggest and best ways that we can tell a story in the game. And we're going to take a quick tour of some of these locations around the world and talk a little bit about the unique stories they have as well.
You know, William?
Yes.
Let's frame it up a little bit. Little bit. One of the things we heard last year when we introduced the game to y'all was, multiplayer, heavy game. And it looks like potentially a very cool universe, but how are you guys telling story, right? Where will it exist? It certainly doesn't exist in between, your rate of fire, right? How is this world taking shape, and what are the tools or methods with which we're painting this tapestry? So, Dr. Petrus.
Let's take it away. So the first map we're going to look at is the Watchpoint Gibraltar location in the world. This is an old Overwatch base that was shut down and went defunct, and it's built into the side of this giant cliff. And inside this abandoned base is Winston, our favorite guerrilla hero, and he's busy deciding whether to contact the Overwatch heroes to fight these new threats that the world is facing. Here we have Dorado. It's one of our new maps in Mexico. And here you can see a festival. We call it the Festival of Lights. And this is where the people are celebrating the annual end of the Omnic War. And you can see that even though they're having fun and rebuilding their country, there's still threats here as well. There's criminal organizations in the shadows that are fighting against this progress moving forward.
So here we have King's Row in London. As you can see, a beautiful futuristic London with the giant megacity in the background. And that megacity was built by Omnic labor. But despite this fact, the human government of England does not recognize their rights. And because of that, there's a lot of human and Omnic tension. There's a lot of protests in the streets, even open violence at times. And there you can see a statue of the, in memorial to the Omnic Tikartha Mandata. And this theme of Omnic and human strife is sort of seen throughout the world. Even here in Hollywood, on the streets and backlots of Tinseltown, even here, famed Omnic film director Halfred Glitchbot is being targeted by an anti-Omnic movement and requires heroes to protect him.
So unlike any other part of the Overwatch world that we have, the one city where humans and robots live together in harmony is Numbani. And this is a really special city in Africa where together the robots and humans have built this magnificent marvel of technology for the entire world. But also they are threatened by the villainous hero Doomfist.
Bill,
Yeah,
I hear you could level a skyscraper.
I did hear that. I did hear that.
So kind of interesting, just jumping in. The theme I think you guys hear, that's making its way through almost all of these maps is this idea we've explained that something like 30 years in the past of the Overwatch present was this Omnic crisis where robots rose up and there was this kind of global catastrophe. So in the years since the end of the Omnic crisis, the issue of can humans and robots, kind of co-inhabit the world, is a really big issue, and it's actualized and localized in different ways around the world. Some places like Numbani totally embrace robots and humans living together, and like Mike had said, places like England are still kind of digging through, like what do we do if you give robots how do you put it, the vote, or recognize their citizenship? What does that do for everybody else? And you have the same kind of socioeconomic tensions that arise. So it's an interesting theme that we're playing out through a lot of these maps, and certainly it informs a lot of the fiction that we're developing for the broader universe.
Okay, so we were talking a bit about some of the locations in the world of Overwatch, and it sort of had a light sort of story background on those. We're going to take a deeper dive on Russia, and we're going to talk a little bit about the art process and the storytelling process of this map. And if I was to start on the art side of Russia, I was personally really excited to do this map in Russia. Absolutely loved it. One of the key things that I had, my first question is really to Chris and Mike, is what's the story of Russia? What can you give these artists to build around?
So Chris was sort of hitting on this, the idea of how humans and Omnics are getting along in the world, and Russia is actually a really interesting place. So to give a little bit of the backstory of Russia and of the world in general, give you a little quick story. Chris sort of brought up the idea of the Omnic crisis. So in a nutshell, the Omnic crisis was an event about a few decades ago where the robot populations around the world, rebelled against mankind and plunged the world into crisis. This crisis was particularly damaging for Russia as they were the first country invaded, but it happened all throughout the world, and different countries around the world came up with different solutions to fight this threat. For example, in Germany, they created the Crusader armor so that they could fight toe-to-toe in the streets, and you got soldiers like Reinhardt. In the United States of America, they had the Enhanced Soldier Program, which produced Jack Morrison, and that was America's solution to the problem. And here in Russia, they had a very specific thing, which is that they created these giant mechs to fight the Omnic army.
So as Michael's talking about this Omnic army in Russia, on the art side now we sort of have this background, this collaborative background on Russia. And Chris, you could certainly, why don't you jump in there too and explain a little bit about the collaboration between the creativity from your end and the art side and the story side.
Yeah, especially with the story Mike just told, we wanted to tap a theme in Russia that kind of the idea that when the Omnic crisis ended, it was because this group called Overwatch came together. And, well, I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute. But Overwatch was the solution for most of the world. They got the robots to shut down. But Russia, in many ways, had to go it alone. They suffered during the Omnic crisis, and they shouldered it up because they're just so tough and so strong-minded that they have like a singular national pride about the fact that they saved their own country and they didn't need Overwatch, right? They did it on their own. So they're fiercely kind of independent. And they love their culture. So we wanted to bring out like just this intense feeling of like pride and just grandness in this Russian space. Obviously, most of the map is that Bill will get to. It's kind of the mech factory, but we almost wanted to capture like an idealized sense of like in this quiet, snowy, wintry neighborhood. We wanted to capture this pride and this sense of like, wow, I'd really love to live here. I feel I stand up a little straighter just being in this space.
So as the artist and Chris and Michael and the creative team gets together, on the art side, we look at Russia, and there's a couple key points that we had in our minds. One is we definitely wanted it visually to be beautiful. We really like the bright tone to the game, and in Russia, we want it to be beautiful. So we use a term called Winter Wonderland here, where we worked together and basically said, no matter what, we want it to be beautiful with a light snow on the ground and warm lights in the street, where it's thriving. The city is still thriving amongst all these threats. And the second biggest point that we really talked about is we want it to look like Russia. We really want it to be relatable. And when we mean relatable, it's the architecture is familiar. Chris mentioned it earlier. It's a very grand architecture. We want it to be rich feeling. And then on top of that, we want to talk about the threat. We want to talk about this Omnic threat and the factories they're building. And all this is really a process that takes place here on the team with the environmental team, the level team, the tech art team. It's a big collaborative effort. Here you can see the inside of Volskaya Industries. In this, you can also see in the background this giant Sentinel mech. It looks like it's 200 foot tall. I mean, we never really measured it, but it looks like it's like 200 foot tall. And in this factory, you can see where the Sentinels are being built. And if you look closely, you can see the cockpit in the head where the human pilot, the Russian pilot, actually drives it.
Yeah, it's really interesting mentioning the fact that they're human piloted. You know, after we finished a certain pass on the art and people were playing through it, you know, I get a lot of questions. Hey, what's the story? What's going on? And one of the questions that came up was, wait, so the Russians are fighting the Omnics, and their solution is to use robots to fight robots. And I'm like, oh, no. You know, there are humans piloting these robots, and, you know, people are saying, well, how are you going to get that story across? And so, you know, I turned to Bill, I said, is there some solution? Is there something we can do to hit some of these main story points and really make people understand what's going on, even in the brief moments that they're on the maps?
And one of the fun things that we were talking about was posters. There's 3 posters here from the factory itself in Volskaya. And after talking to Michael and Chris and the creative team, these 3 posters really stood out to me personally. The one on the far right represents the workers in Russia that are building these giant Sentinels, the very skilled workers. The poster in the middle represents the human pilots that drive these big marvels that they use to fight the Omnics. And the last one represents the danger among us, the spies that could be sitting right beside you. So keep an eye out. And we wanted these to be very authentic too, with the Russian text at the bottom. And a special shout out to Ben Zhang, one of our very talented concept artists who created these as well.
So, as you can see here, one of the things that we're really interested in when we're telling these stories is not just the big story points, but also the details. So, as you can see here, this is the poster that we showed off at Blizzcon last year, done by our assistant art director, Arnold Sang. Woo! And it features the 12 original heroes of the Overwatch game. But what people very quickly caught on to was, well, that's actually 15 characters. Those 3 guys there on the left, we didn't really talk about. And people, you know, they started scouring, you know, our information and really started speculating about who these characters were. And that was very intentional on our part.
And so speaking of those 3 guys, particularly the big guy in the corner, Roadhog. So Roadhog actually was blowing around in a newspaper on King's Row, our London map, for a while, since early last year. And you can see on this screenshot, even his name was on there, Roadhog, blowing around out there in the game. It was pretty funny. I think another example of how we can tease heroes and just really supply some mystery in the game too is we had Diva, our former pro gamer that we're talked about today at BlizzCon. You know what? She was in the arcade in Hanamura for a long time, right in plain sight. So when everyone is out on the show floor playing Overwatch today, keep an eye out for more of these
little Easter eggs.
Little Easter eggs in
that
there.
we're trying to ladle in to kind of help the universe feel, if you can find them, kind of help the universe feel a little more contiguous.
So to talk a little bit about heroes and digress for a moment, one of our biggest tools for storytelling and bringing these characters to life is their dialogue. When you have this sort of first-person perspective, the way that characters talk, the things they say, the things they react to, and the way they react to things really helps to paint these personalities. For example, you take someone like Hanzo. Hanzo is arrogant. He is superior. He is always in that mode. He thinks that he's the best. But you can contrast that with someone like Tracer. Tracer is having the time of her life. She enjoys every minute of being hero. She is just having a blast. Or take another character like Mei that we just introduced. She's sort of a reluctant fighter. She's almost apologetic when she has to do harm, but also she is a hero. So when it's something that she needs to fight for, she'll do it. And the other thing, I get asked this question a lot, will we have specific dialogue between the characters? And we definitely will. We have a lot of relationships already planned and existed for these characters. Tracer and Winston are best buds. Hanzo and Genji might still have a thing or two to say to each other. But yeah, so there'll be a lot of that. So we've talked a little bit about the way that we're telling story inside of the game, but we're actually experimenting and trying some new things outside of the game to bring these heroes to life. And one of our values is raising questions and sort of letting people think about these characters and their motivations. And we've tried a few different things. For example, when we unveiled the enigmatic vigilante Soldier 76, we created this whole Atlas News program. We've tracked his path for justice and revenge across the world, and we had different perspectives on it, like these news stories you can see. We did sort of in-depth opinion pieces that really highlighted the different perspectives on his character. Or you take a character like Lucio, who's our DJ character. And we really wanted people to experience his music because music really defined Lucio as a character. So we had these awesome tracks from Derek Duke, our composer, and we developed this fake album to go with it, Synesthesia Auditiva. We have track listings, and we did articles about his world tour. And then most importantly, we put his music out there so people could listen to it and just get introduced to Lucio before they ever met him. So more recently, we were approaching the task, how will we introduce two of our new villainous characters, the somewhat psychotic, totally psychotic Junkers, Roadhog and Junkrat. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to come up a way to introduce them that really showed off their unique personalities.
Roadhog and Junkrat. What better to tease and introduce these two than a wanted poster mugshot? For us, it was a lot of fun to do. One big challenge we had was our team, our concept team, when they were drawing these sketches, they were drawing the likeness too close to what they actually look like. It was too close to their likeness. We wanted it to be a little bit more mysterious, like a police sketch. So we talked to some other folks at the studio and we gave them a really brief description, and the artist didn't really know what the heroes looked like, so they gave their interpretation. And the one on the far right there from the UK was done by an artist on the Hearthstone team. The one on the far right was done by an artist on the Diablo team. And the one in the middle was drawn by Arnold Sang. Yeah.
And yeah, so this was a really good starting point. People started to have questions. You're like, whoa, who are these guys and what are they all about? So we sort of wanted to come up with a way to illustrate these characters and maybe show a little look into the mind of one of them.
And so what better mind to go into than Junkrat's mind? Here's a napkin sketch of Junkrat's plan to rob a bank in Dorado, our Mexico map. You can see he starts down here by the stairs and goes up with Roadhog and blows the safe up and then steals the money and goes away on a boat down there as well. And another interesting point on this sketch is it was based on the actual layout of Dorado, the level design layout as well on here.
It also features one of my favorite jokes ever with El Banco. They're a couple bright individuals.
They are very smart.
So after we released this map, people had a lot of questions and they had a lot of theories, abilities, what these guys were all about. And we were ready then to finally introduce these characters and really let them find out who Junkrat and Roadhog were. And so we thought, what better way than to come up with a reality program that we call A Moment in Crime.
Tonight, on A Moment in Crime, their spree of mayhem and chaos has caused untold millions in property damage around the world. But who are these two deranged junkers, and what inspired their orgy of destruction? Is this the work of master criminals, or just a couple of idiots? It was Junkrat who masterminded this string of attacks that has stretched from the Australian outback to Kings Row and beyond. Now this explosives-obsessed freak has his sights set on even greater acts of destruction. His co-conspirator, Roadhog, is a remorseless killer who hides his face behind a mask. This giant of a man is more than happy to use violence to resolve any situation. Together they have burned, bombed, robbed, and killed their way across the world. And their calamitous crime spree shows no sign of slowing down. Following their personal creed of no job too big, no score too small, it seems as though there is no end in sight to this senseless rampage. Unless we get your help. If you have any information as to the whereabouts of these two extremely dangerous criminals, you need to contact us right away. Remember, crime doesn't pay, but we do.
So we love A Moment in Crime. So as you guys can tell, we're trying to do a lot of different things to kind of get the story out there, get some of these ideas out there. We built what we hope are really cool backstories for all of these characters, and a lot of stories about the world and its history and how these characters relate. So these are many ways that we're trying to just ladle it all out and take a much broader approach. But we're also doing some of the more traditional approaches as well. I've kind of felt for a while that Overwatch is not necessarily the kind of franchise we would necessarily do a lot of novels for. It's kind of fun to keep it a little more, once you start getting into prose, it gets a little too deep, and I don't know, Overwatch feels like the ideas move a little faster than that. So we are planning to do a lot of work with comics, or kind of printed visual storytelling. Thank you. So one of the big projects we're doing right now, we just actually got the script locked down. We mentioned this at Comic-Con this year, is an original graphic novel, which we're self-publishing. And the graphic novel tells the story of really the first Overwatch strike team that came together and saved the world and really set a precedent, for the whole modern age of our universe. And this story really deals with how do I go there? There was kind of a soft reveal yesterday, if you were at the opening ceremony. Did you guys see the video of the Overwatch skins in the Origins edition? Anyone see the soft reveal that occurred during that video? Gabriel Reyes is Reaper. So what's kind of cool is the first two soldiers inducted into Overwatch were Jack Morrison and Gabriel Reyes, two good buddies that were part of the Soldier Enhancement Program from the United States. And really, Gabriel Reyes was like the greatest soldier in the world. The guy's just a stud, but kind of liked to do things on his own. Instead of leading a team, he'd rather be crawling through ventilation ducts and taking out the bad guys on his own. But he and Morrison were very good friends, and the UN kind of built the Overwatch, the first group. You see Reinhardt, you see Torbjorn, a little younger for both of them. The lady in the middle is Ana Amari. She's actually Farah's mom. And one of the best snipers, sharpshooters from Egypt. There's a few other characters as well, not featured in this image, but it's just an awesome story. It's kind of the bedrock story of how Overwatch came together, and really begins to plant the seeds of. I'll spoil a little bit for you. Reyes was actually the leader of the initial Overwatch team, but he and Morrison started to have a disagreement about what is leadership. Reyes looks at the mission as the mission. You do whatever it takes to get the mission done. Where Morrison started to see kind of, what does it look like when the mission is the team? Getting everybody home alive, making sure everyone's operating as a fully functional group, and really getting to know everybody at a close level makes you a more heightened team. And that really, you guys will see over time, is the core theme of Overwatch. It's actually about people working together. It's about relationships. This story will kind of set the tone for that rift between these two guys, which you can tell in the present age is going to come to a head. So we're really excited about the graphic novel. We're also really excited to announce we're going to support Overwatch with comic shorts. We've been doing this for a while with World of Warcraft, kind of more shorter form comics that we just put out for free on the net. So we're excited to support Overwatch with these types of stories that we just think are really fun. Thanks, guys. And these stories will allow us to kind of focus on, at least here at the start, we've got like 21 heroes. There is a ton of story to be told. So these are some snippets of some of the short form comics that are in development right now. So we hope to have these out to you guys in good fashion. I expect that around the time the game gets ready to come out, we're gonna carpet bomb. Just badass stuff all on you. So comics is just really close to our hearts, and really a primary way to get our story out as well. What do we have next? Do we have something interesting to talk about next? Was there anything?
Anything?
I think now's the time.
Okay.
All right. Well, we have a special guest today, y'all. We have really one more. You guys remember this, right? This introductory cinematic we did last year is just really one of our favorite things we've ever done as a studio. We love these kids. We love the tone of this piece. It's just so what Overwatch is about. And, pardon me, swallowed a fly somehow. The hell is I talking about? This piece, storytelling in Overwatch, right? We want to do more of this kind of stuff. We love cinematic storytelling. Blizzard has a long tradition of building cinematic tales, and we believe that the core heart and thematic, journey of Overwatch will live in many ways in this form. So we have a special guest today we'd like to bring out. He is one of our co-storytellers, one of Blizzard's best directors, and one of our dearest brothers, a man named Jeff Chamberlain. Dude, your theme music is awesome.
We wrote it for that. What's up, Blizzcon? How's it going? Cool. So, like Chris said, I'm Jeff Chamberlain. I work with the Blizzard animation department. We make the cinematics for Blizzard, basically. I guess probably a lot of you are sitting out there thinking like, all this stuff sounds really cool. I know for myself, I can't wait to open up the first Overwatch graphic novel. That just sounds super exciting to me. But historically, Blizzard's done a lot of, as Chris said, has done a lot of storytelling through cinematics. So what does that mean for Overwatch? Well, a long time ago, we all sat together and we realized that the game didn't have a linear storyline like most of our other games do, and that's our role as cinematic storytellers, is to walk you through that storyline while you're playing the game. And we don't have that, so what do we want to do? Well, luckily, recently, Blizzard has been actually doing storytelling outside of the game, if you think about it. A couple of years ago, we did a series called Shao Hao. That was for the Mists of Pandaria. Thanks. And then, since then, we've also done the Lords of War series for Warlords of Draenor. And then most recently, Blizzard did the Reclamation short for the Legacy of the Void piece, which is really nice as well. So we do have, a precedent for telling a story outside of the game, which is really exciting for us, because it kind of unleashes us to do kind of anything we want. We know that Overwatch is a very, very rich universe, and we just have a lot of stories that we want to tell. So, it's kind of nice just to be unbound in that way. So yeah, I'm basically here to tell you that we are working on something for Overwatch. It's a series of animated shorts. Thanks. So rather than go into detail and try to explain to you what it is and all that stuff, we actually cut together a work in progress reel so you can kind of see some of the stuff that we're working on. Cool. So yeah, why don't we just take a look at that reel?
You wanted to see if there was more out there. Well, see for yourself.
Someone to do the heavy lifting? Did someone say peanut butter?
On my side.
Cool. Peanut butter.
Let me dry my eyes. A moment. I got a little misty on that.
Sorry?
I got a little misty.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much in my old age.
So yeah, we're really
love this
excited.
damn universe.
Yeah. We're really excited to be putting this together. It's been awesome. We're working with a lot of different teams, like the sound team, the story team, the editorial team. Everybody's just really putting everything they can into it. It's sort of like what Chris was just saying earlier. There's a lot of heart in this, and I think it's reflected in the way we're all working together to get this stuff together. I believe that is actually then reflected in the work. So I'm really proud of what we're working on. We're obviously still working on it now, but we can't wait to show you what we are doing, and we hope that you enjoy watching it as much as we are enjoying putting it together for you. So, thanks.
And one point too, guys, just to frame it up a little bit, the way we're approaching these shorts is they're not necessarily contiguous, meaning they're not like serial, like you have to watch one to understand what the other one's doing. We're trying to build them in such a way that they're really nice, round, short stories that have a beginning and an end, and hopefully give you massive feels. But they're kind of self-contained, and in that way, it allows us just to really dive in deep to the characters we want to look at, and it's just kind of a funner, more open-ended way to develop story for these things as well.
Yeah, I mean, for me, we have so many stories that we talk about and that we just want, we can't wait to tell. We have 21 heroes and we just want to get into it, and this is such an awesome way for us to start bringing these stories to life and really see, illustrate some of the things about these characters that we love.
Totally, and it's, we've been talking with Jeff about this for, I don't know, it's a couple, oh God, has it been a couple years now? I can't tell time anymore. The cinematic legacy of Blizzard, we began to build these really great cinematics over the years that historically are always embedded in the gameplay, and that can really, and while as we look back, I think we've done some awesome work, in kind of helping the narrative flow of a video game have these wonderful points of story punctuation. Kind of playing it this way and finally really allowing these ideas to breathe kind of outside of the constraints of gameplay has been really liberating, and we're kind of growing and learning and with any luck becoming better storytellers. So it's just been an incredibly rewarding process to build these things, and like Mike said, we hope you guys will love them as much as we do.
Wow. I know, during the day as we're working, Jeff and Chris and the team, we work really closely with them, and I'm always like, the baby Winston shot, is it rendered? Is it done? Where is it? It's right there. Okay, it's done. But for us, it's really exciting to see these heroes really come to life in the cinematics and the stories. I get teary-eyed too, because I know everyone's been talking about this a long time, and it's literally coming to life, and it's really amazing. I'm a big fan of the really dynamic animation in those storyboards as well. I can only imagine, where that's going to go, and just the end product of that as well. And there's always the peanut butter. There's always the peanut butter.
Do you guys have anything else formally we want to talk about, or we want to kick off with we want to open it up?
Let's do it.
Let's open it up.
Let's do it.
You guys, we imagine, have some questions. We can take some time for Q&A. Make them good. Now's the time. And keep it clean, people. Come on.
Hi, will there be a giant art book for Overwatch with character bios and all this amazing concept art you've shown us?
Did we talk about that yesterday? We're doing essentially a source book that will be in the Overwatch Collector's Edition. Typically with things like WoW, over the years we've done pretty cool art books, standalone art books. With Overwatch, since it was kind of a new IP, we built this pretty cool book that not only kind of features the characters and calls out some of their items or weapons or tech, gives you a little bit of their background, also looks at some of the environments in the world. So we got a pretty cool book like that coming out with the Collector's Edition.
Hi guys, I'm Brandon. One question I had for you guys is, I know we all love Blizzard. We wouldn't be here if we didn't. So does Blizzard exist in this future universe? I know with the announcement of Diva and stuff, they've talked about StarCraft 2. What if there was a Blizzard Entertainment map or a BlizzCon map?
You don't think?
Well,
I'm going to go there.
Okay.
I'm going to go there. This is not official in any way. In any way. But we do giggle and may have drawn a couple pictures about an event location called, this is not official, and you'll see why, called Blizneyland. Of course, for very, very obvious reasons, we are unlikely to use a word that sounds like that. But we've toyed with some ideas. We do not have any concrete plans yet, but we just are infinitely tickled by the idea of doing something like kind of featuring some of the other games in an amusement park type thing. Could be really fun. Again, we have no plans to do it, but it is an idea that we get a giggle out of from time to time.
And yeah, I'd say, Overwatch is a game that takes place in our future, and Blizzard definitely exists on that planet, and I think...
What if it's like the Dark Blizzard? It's like the most insidious faction on Earth. We'll see. It'd be fun to play with.
Goldshire Pictures.
Hello, Belftru for the win on Twitter. And my question, well, actually, I love the diversity of the game in age, race, and gender. Absolutely love it. And I was wondering if any of the characters are gay, to expand on that diversity.
Bill, you want to take that, right?
The answer is yes. Now it's still early. It's still early, and we're still working on how we thread stories and how we build a world. But the answer is yes.
Yeah, we've just started to tell the stories of these heroes, and we have these comics now and shorts, and we want to really tell these stories and give them a chance to breathe. So definitely keep on the lookout.
I'd say the answer is yes, a couple times over, and we want things to play out organically and not, I don't know, have data points like that feel contrived or pandering. So stay tuned with the storytelling.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Hi, my name is Daniel. I just want to say...
Whoa there.
I just want to say I love the world that you guys have made, and thank you
Clearly.
so much for doing that.
Whoa there.
It's high noon.
Yes,
Right,
sir.
anyway,
Better get the cover.
it's a wonderful world. Thank you guys so much for doing the animated shorts. It's really good to see more of that. But sometimes it feels like you guys are fitting this big, huge painting on a postage stamp. And so my question is actually for each of you. Given no limitations, unlimited resources, what would you guys do, each one of you, if you could make a full-length movie or campaign? Which character would you pick? And what would you tell us about that character that we haven't seen right now in the game?
Should I go first? That's a good question. I'll say Bastion. I think he's got a lot of character, Actually, he has a really cool story. I can't wait till you guys find out more about him.
I can't wait for Jeff to tell you guys Bastion's story.
I can't wait for that.
Yep, just wait.
There's a story there.
Wow, it's really hard to pick just one hero. I'm sort of torn between Winston and Zenyatta myself. So I would probably, the story would be with, I'll go with Zenyatta, but Winston would definitely be in there, and sort of their travels and things like that. But I would try to keep it really mysterious and very artistic of a movie, if you will.
It is hard to just pick one, though, right?
It is, yeah.
They're all really cool.
So I'm not just saying that because Hanzo's eyeing me over there, but this is really crystallizing.
Unworthy.
I'm sorry. But for me, actually, recently, since we've got Genji out there, Chris and I have been talking a lot about the Hanzo and Genji story. It's actually a story that is one of the first things we ever talked about when we started working together. But I think that there's a tremendously interesting story about those two characters and how sort of their circumstances, the responsibilities of their life, and what was expected of them, how that created each of them into this unique, different character. And then for Genji, he just has so much interesting stuff. He's gone through so much. I think you could tell any number of stories about Genji.
Totally agree. I think Genji gets like twice as interesting once he and his brother, like after their conflict, like after the thing that breaks them apart. If I had unlimited time and an unlimited checkbook to do things with Overwatch, what would I do? I would conquer the world with all of these heroes and all of their stories, and I would win the hearts and minds of generations of fans that will love these characters for 100 years. That is what I would do. Thank you, gentlemen. Awesome, awesome costumes.
Hi there. For my question, specifically about the locations of Overwatch, as you guys progress the story, would it be more along the line of where, as the story progresses, the levels that we have seen so far change, or would it be more along the lines of adding more levels and more locations that expands the lore through that way, almost like a progression?
That's a really good question. I think it's something that we talk about definitely at work, the different options we can do. I know right now we're very focused on making Overwatch, the current maps and everything as fun and playable as we can. I can say that we are chatting about a whole bunch of different ideas on it. I don't know, Michael, if you want to add something in there as well.
Yeah, one idea that springs to mind, and we haven't done it yet, but we've talked about it, is on the Nimbani map, for example, there is a news ticker, and I think it would be awesome if we could update that to reflect things that are happening in the animated shorts, or just stuff we're doing to move the story ahead. So I think that'd be great.
Totally. I also think that, like the way you phrased it, will we create new world locations or modify existing ones? Where our discussion has been going is a little bit of both over time. It'd be fun to come back to existing areas and show a little more, maybe like down the street, potentially a different map, but the same world locations. Is there a deeper robot city beneath King's Row, right? We didn't quite get there in the map that we built, right? So things like that we'd like to continue to explore, but we've got way more world locations and cool hooks for places than we could possibly have gotten to at this first iteration of the game. So we have both kinds of ideas and hope to explore all of it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, so I just wanted to say I'm a huge fan of the game. I got to play it a couple times so far, and I've just had a blast. But the question I had was, you were talking about how different countries, they kind of had their own solution to the crisis besides Overwatch. And you said the Americans had a super soldier program. That's how they made.
That's a trademark term, son.
Yes.
We will not be using
that. Sorry. Enhanced human program. And it just seems to me, because Tracer's British, but she seems to me like an enhanced human of some kind. I was wondering, what did the British do to actually do their side of the war?
Well,
crap. That's a really good question.
I think you're going to have to wait and find out. But I think that specifically Tracer's abilities are very much central to her. That's Tracer's story. That is not indicative of the overall story of how they dealt with the Omnic crisis. And I think, if we're being honest, there are a lot of these questions that we don't have answers for now. And I think we want to have room for ourselves to be able to, fill out this world as we know more about it, as we discover more about it.
We don't know what the British did.
It might have something to do with the buses, though.
Dope. That's really good. I really seriously have not ever even asked myself the question. So there, game design 101. We have no idea what we're doing. Seat of our pants. I'm just kidding. These guys are brilliant. Yeah, no, good question though. Ouch.
Thank you.
The British will have done something awesome soon.
Hi. So first thing, I just wanted to give a shout out to Rooster Teeth's Extra Life charity event that's going on right now that I would be watching if I wasn't here with all you awesome people. My question is, I guess when I look at this lineup, I see Teen Titans or the League of Justice, and but a lot of their story seems like they didn't really actually interact with the whole as a league. So I was wondering if we would see German and Russian and all of the heroes. How much did they actually interact while Overwatch was active?
Let me try and frame it like this. It's a weird universe to grasp. immediately, right? Because it's kind of like this. 30 years ago, there was like the image we showed, there was a strike team called Overwatch, the first team. It's 5 or 6 people. And they did such a good job. The world went like, wow, we want more of that. We trust you guys to protect us. And so that team grew over time. International funding, so they got jump jets and snowmobiles and, I don't know, stuff, hardware, right? They're having the European headquarters, And so over time they conscripted more and more, champions from around the world. So I look at it like almost in 3 phases. There's the kind of golden age of Overwatch where, you had, Morrison and Reyes and Reinhardt and all them. And then you kind of have the height of Overwatch, which is like 10 to, actually, what is the number, Mike?
Yes, you got it.
Yeah, 10 to 6 years ago?
Yeah.
Is 6 the number? Even shorter than that? 15 years, when did it fall apart? The number is something like 3 years ago, things went really bad. But you kind of have the height of Overwatch, where it's potentially hundreds and hundreds of agents, right, that define this international group. And then you have the now, where it's all scattered. And some of them have gone off to be kind of underground agents. Some of them have retired. Some of them have gone psychopathic, like 76. You'll be fine. Perhaps. And some of them are never coming back. So in these 3 epochs, if you will, you kind of see very different shapes of what Overwatch was. So to answer your question, in different eras, there were kind of different groups of heroes that related differently in each of those sets. This makes no damn sense, does it? Does it make any sense at all? So different characters were in at different times. And when you look at this lineup, there's a bunch of villains in this lineup that were never part of Overwatch. And what's really fun is there's a bunch of new heroes like Zarya, Mei, I can't think fast enough, Diva, Lucio, that are totally new heroes on the global stage that were never part of Overwatch, but were inspired by its tradition. And so our hope is, spoilers, they might get picked up and become like a new Overwatch as things unfold. So it's a multi-generational tapestry of characters and relationships. So I'm sorry that was so complex. It'll feel much better when we get the story done. I over-answered it, huh? Yeah, it was complex.
How's it going? My name is Michael. My question is about the cinematic trailer that you guys showed last year. And the younger brother in the trailer talks about a character named Soundquake.
Chess missiles?
Yes, chess missiles. And so my first thought was maybe it was like a first round of Pharah. But is that a character that, like, how are you going to develop that character into the story, and what is his part? So.
You want to take that? I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take it.
All right, you do it. You take it.
All right.
I don't want the question.
And after all that build-up, what I would have to say is you'll have to wait and see.
It was his question. I screwed up the last one, so that's his mulligan. It's fine. We're still developing characters like Soundquake and things like that. We don't have a core plan for that character yet, but there's other characters that were mentioned in that flick, like Doomfist or whatever, that we're developing the idea of.
Hi, my question was about Junkrat and Warthog's mugshot signs. I noticed they both had a number on there, and I like paying attention to detail, so I was wondering if there's significance to those numbers.
This one's definitely you, Mike.
There.
Was that you, Bill?
Michael?
That's a good question. Probably, yeah. I think it was their booking numbers when they were arrested.
So the question would be, obviously, is there any subtle meaning behind the numbers chosen? There's got to be, right?
Probably,
like
yeah.
Something genius?
I mean, that sounds like the kind of thing that we love to do.
It does. So what is it? What's the story there? What's going on? What'd you come up with?
Well, you know how in Junkrat's story, there's a certain treasure he's looking for. It could have something to do with that.
I will accept that answer. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This is how our meetings go usually.
This is how we decide story. We just got found out.
Hi, I love all of your stories for all of your games. And you guys mentioned that you're going to do the short comics. Do you have any plans to work with like any of the bigger comic companies to do multiple series for all your heroes that'll intermesh like the Justice League, Batman, and Superman?
How will I answer that? At this time, we've chosen to go it alone. We've chosen the lonely, heavy path of self-publication. We plan to do as much of it internally as possible. We want to develop these stories. They are going to be baked in our house. It's better for us to be able to kind of go at our own rate. You know, the whole Blizzard thing, it'll be ready when it's done and all that stuff. It doesn't work all that well for other publishers who actually have reasonably timed businesses and have to move product when they have to move product. So it's better for us to go it on our own and do our best. So no plans yet to go with any of the big publishing houses, but I love them. Maybe one day our paths will intersect, but for now, we're gonna get this thing done on our own.
Hey, I was wondering, because the original Overwatch trailer included Tracer and Widowmaker, and then the new preview showed them both. Do they have a history together, or is there anything going on that we should know?
You know, that Widow Tracer thing is pretty popular. So Widow...
the internet.
Widowmaker and Tracer definitely do not get along. I think you see the hints of it from... you get the hints of it from just the way they interact with each other. They're sort of, I'm getting meaningful looks here.
It just seems like there's something going on there. Jeff, do you have any interesting insight into...
I think we'll have to. I'm going to pull a Michael Chu and say, you'll have to wait and see. You know, I'm sure we've got something great working on that.
Although in that sizzle reel we showed a little earlier, you may have seen a couple little tidbits that might give you the impression that that question will be answered at some time in the near future. I don't think he liked that at all. I think he's angry.
Hello?
Was that fingers up?
Give it
Oh
thumbs
no.
up.
Oh, it's happy fingers. Excellent. For the Alliance.
Question for all four of you. What character do you associate with?
Wow.
I don't know. That's a tough question. I mean, they all have such great heart, you know, for the most part. So it's hard to pick one. I feel like, you know, your multiple personalities you have in yourself kind of are reflected in all of them in some ways or another. I guess you could simplify that question a little bit and say, who's your favorite, right? And I would say Winston, but I know Billy's going to say Winston, so I'll. You weren't going to say Winston?
No.
All right, I'll say Winston.
All right.
Done.
Who you associate with? I think there's pieces of each hero that I associate with, and there's even some I wish I could. So it's like I wish I was as smart as Winston. I wish I was as calm as Zenyatta. I wish I could move as fast as Tracer too.
You wish you had a bird like Bastion?
I do. I have one right here.
There you go.
I'd probably say Zenyatta, probably. Yeah.
So obviously Junkrat. But that's mostly obviously.
We knew that all along.
I'd say that.
You don't let Mike have matches at the office either.
But it's mostly because if you had a chance to play him, he has some truly terrible jokes, and that is something that I associate with, and probably was the horrible inspiration for.
I really love Genji when you guys get a better gist of his story and the tragedy of the brothers Shimada. It's cool, and I love him. I love the kind of creature he is. We got 18 seconds. I want to tell you the story right now. But I identify probably most with 76, you know, the old, tired soldier. I love him, and I'm a big fan of redemption stories, so I hope he can pull his act together and lead like he used to lead. So I love him. We got time for one more?
This will be our last question.
Well, do we know why Winston doesn't like his glasses broken?
I'll tell you what, dude, that is a fantastic question. And you're gonna see when these shorts finally come out, how important those glasses are to him and who gave them to him in the first place. We're not gonna tell you now, but that question is gonna get answered, and I love that you asked it. Guys, I think that's going to be about it for today. We got to wrap it up. So thank you again for being here. We love you. We hope you love Overwatch. And keep your eyes peeled as the game unfolds. Thank you again for being here. Have a great BlizzCon.
Thank you for attending. You're watching BlizzCon 2015, presented by DirecTV, the exclusive home of the world debut of the